When someone is emotionally available, the first place you notice it is in your body. Not in what they say, not in grand gestures, but in how you feel when you're around them. Your nervous system relaxes. You're not on high alert. You're not scanning for signs that they're pulling away. You're not bracing for rejection. You can actually breathe. And that might sound small, but if you've been in relationships where you were constantly anxious, constantly second-guessing yourself, constantly trying to earn love, the absence of that tension is profound. Because what you're actually feeling is the absence of anxiety. And for many people, that absence feels unfamiliar enough to be mistaken for boredom. You stop living in your head. You're not replaying conversations, and you're not wondering what they really meant. And you're not trying to figure out how to be less needy, less emotional, less yourself. Because with somebody who's emotionally available, you don't have to shrink for love. One of the clearest signs of emotional availability is consistency. Not perfection, not constant intensity, but steady, reliable presence. They don't disappear for days and then come back like nothing happened. They don't go hot and cold. They don't make you feel like you have to chase them to keep their interest. When they say they'll call, they call. When they make plans, they follow through. When something comes up, they communicate. And at first, this can feel underwhelming because if you grew up in environments where love felt unpredictable, where attention came and went, where connection felt uncertain, your nervous system may have learned something very specific. That love feels like longing, like tension, like trying. So when someone comes along who is calm, consistent, and emotionally open, it doesn't create that same kind of surge of adrenaline. There's no chase, no emotional roller coaster, and no feeling like you have to win them over. But here's the thing. Consistency isn't boring. It's the foundation of trust. Because when someone shows up the same way over and over, you stop waiting for the other shoe to drop. You stop bracing for abandonment, and you start to believe that this person actually means what they say. When someone is emotionally available, you don't have to guess how they feel about you. They tell you. Not in vague, ambiguous ways. Not in breadcrumbs, but clearly. And they say things like, I really enjoy spending time with you. I'm really excited to see you, and I care about you. And they say it without you having to pull it out of them. They don't make you feel like wanting clarity is needy. They don't punish you for having needs. They don't make you feel like you're asking for too much by wanting to know where you stand. Because emotionally available people understand something very simple. Love isn't a guessing game. And if you've been in relationships where affection felt conditional, where you had to earn every bit of reassurance, this kind of openness can feel almost too easy. You might even find yourself waiting for the catch, waiting for them to pull back, waiting for them to get distant, waiting for that moment when they reveal that this is all just temporary. But that moment doesn't come because emotionally available people don't use distance as a tool. They don't withhold to create desire. They just show up. Here's one of the biggest differences when you're with somebody who's emotionally available. Conflict doesn't feel like the end of the relationship. It feels like a part of it. Because emotionally available people don't run when things get hard. They don't shut down, they don't ghost, and they don't punish you with silence. They stay and they talk. Not perfectly, not always smoothly, but they don't treat disagreement like a threat. They can hear when you're upset without making it mean you're attacking them. They can express their own needs without making you feel like you're failing. They can repair after a rupture. And that might be the most important part, because in emotionally unavailable relationships, ruptures feel catastrophic. One misunderstanding and suddenly they're distant. One conflict and suddenly you're walking on eggshells. one moment of vulnerability, and suddenly they're gone. But with somebody who's emotionally available, ruptures are just a part of being human, and repair is possible. You don't have to be perfect to be loved. You just need to be real. Maybe the most disorienting part of being loved by somebody who's emotionally available is this. You don't have to earn it. You don't have to be impressive. You don't have to be low maintenance. You don't have to hide your emotions. You don't have to be the cool partner who never asks for anything. You can just be yourself, and they choose you. Not because you've performed well enough, not because you've convinced them, and not because you've made yourself smaller, but because they actually want to be with you. And if you've spent years trying to be chosen, this can feel almost impossible to trust. And you might find yourself testing it, pulling back to see if they'll chase, being difficult to see if they'll stay, or waiting for them to prove that this is real. And here's what happens. They don't play games. They just stay steady. And they don't chase because there's nothing to chase. You're already there and they're already there. And that steadiness over time starts to feel like the most radical thing because you realize love no longer is something you have to fight for. It's something you're allowed to receive. Being loved by somebody who's emotionally available doesn't feel like fireworks. It feels like coming home. It's not a constant high, it's not obsessive, and it's not all-consuming, but it's real. And over time, something shifts inside you. You stop confusing intensity with love. You stop confusing anxiety with chemistry. You stop confusing chaos with passion. And you start to recognize what love actually is. It's someone who sees you, who stays, who doesn't make you guess, who doesn't punish you for having needs. It's somebody who shows up. And not just in the beginning and when things are easy, but constantly. And that kind of love doesn't just feel good. It transforms you. I want to offer you a short reflection. Think of somebody who felt emotionally inconsistent. Somebody who was hard to read or hard to reach. Notice what happens in your body as you think about them. Your chest, your stomach, your throat. Is there tightness, urgency, a sense of leaning forward, reaching out? Now imagine somebody who is emotionally available, real or imagined. Somebody who is warm, clear, and steady with you. Somebody who communicates. Somebody who shows up. Imagine sitting across from them. Notice your body again. Is there more space, more breath, more calm? That feeling, even if it's subtle, is often what secure love feels like. Healthy love, not overwhelming, just safe enough to be real. If this resonated with you, I'd love to hear. Have you ever been loved by somebody who was emotionally available? And if so, what did it actually feel like in your body? Feel free to share in the comments if that feels right. Because here's the thing, if you spent years in relationships that felt like emotional puzzles, the absence of that struggle can be disorienting at first, but over time you start to realize this isn't boring, it isn't a lack of chemistry. This is what it feels like to be loved without having to fight for it. And once you know that feeling, you will not settle for less than anything else. I'm Kristen. Thank you so much for being here with me today. Don't forget to like this video if it was supportive to you so that it can be pushed out to other people to support them as well. Please share if you know someone who could really use this kind of message. And don't forget to subscribe if you want to be here for more conversations like this with me. I would love to connect with you more. And don't forget to look for my Calm Focus lives coming up next week. They're Tuesday and Thursdays around 10:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time for 90 minutes. They are nervous system informed co-working lives where we go for about 20-25 minutes and then take a 5 to 10 minute break depending on how everything is flowing. And in between we can chat, or we can read poetry, we can pull an oracle card, we can just be and regulate together and unwind each other in this spiral of life. So I will see you there. Bye.